I don't dive, I don't flip, but brother, I know drill.
These apologies, but we are here. Welcome to another episode of the JCP Lounge. As always, I'm Chanel from HR here with Sir Wilkins and Mrblacc. And we have a very special guest in the building. He's out here changing lives. He's out here doing music. He's a jack of all trades. So we're here to get to know the lovely Victor Perry. So, Victor, tell us about you first. Like, how did you get into teaching and all of that stuff? Because I think that is the foundation of where we're going to lead up to where we talk about your amazing club that you have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so teaching it fell in my lap. It wasn't something that was ever a goal of mine. It was never in my bingo cards. When I went to Morehouse, my goal was to be an executive for Sony Music. And so I worked in the music industry.
Okay, did he?
Yeah, like I worked for L.A. Reid. I was an intern there at Epic Records, and then I was his son's assistant for a little bit in Atlanta at a studio. And so like I just grinded in college with internships and these little jobs that they had offered for us. And the goal was to graduate and work at Sony. And so graduation happened and there was no job available for me. And so like it sent me spiraling a little. Because I was like, I've worked so hard, I got handpicked for everything. Everyone knew me. Why is this not, happening for me? And so, I turned to music. I started creating. I always sang, but never created. So that summer of 2016, I created music. And then while that fulfilled me, internally, my parents weren't happy. They were like, you went to Morehouse, you had honors, why are you still living in our house? Like, get out, go do something with your life. And it was
Your parents Haitian or Jamaican?
No, they're Southern. I'm from the South.
Wow.
And so one argument when my mom I was just like, you know what? I'm going to be out of the house in 2 weeks. And so I went online and Googled because I wanted to live in New York. New York was my passion. I hated living in the South, hated living in a small town. So I was like,
Where in the South where you live in?
Georgia.
You were in Georgia. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And so I was like on Google, and the first thing I Googled was easiest job to get in New York City. And teaching came up.
That's not good. That's not good.
It really isn't.
That's not good.
I found this charter school, Uncommon, and I applied. And that Monday I heard back, and they were like, "Hey, we saw your resume.
Wow.
We'd love to have you. We have a school that's open, that's looking for teachers, X, Y, and Z." And so I was like, "Yeah, I'll be there like whenever." And so that same week, I think it was like Thursday, I flew to New York and interviewed and got the job. And so I told my mom, I was like, I told you 2 weeks. It was only a week. And I moved to New York. And the funny thing about it was,
what did you move to? And how you find an apartment so quick?
So God is good.
All the time.
Okay.
When I was interning at Sony's here in New York, I had made some friends from the Airbnb, and so they became family friends. And so they were like, you can stay with us until we find your apartment. So it was a blessing.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah. Wow. And so but the funny thing about it was I was teaching in Brownsville. And so I didn't know anything about Brownsville. I didn't know it was rough. And so
that is a culture shock.
It really,
yeah. You go
it really
to Georgia, everybody's nice. You go to the hood, fuck you.
Oh, I almost got robbed. Like, I have a whole story on that. Like on the school grounds, like in the playground. Yeah.
Wait, what? Hold on, where's school safety?
Right, exactly. But I'm so thankful for all those experiences. I'm not at that school anymore, but I'm thankful because it shaped me as a young adult, young Black man, following his dreams. And I take it now into the classroom, especially at this new school that I'm in. And I see how to relate to children based off of just these small nuanced situations that I've gone through, because then I can talk that talk with them and they understand where I'm coming from when I'm giving them advice on situations that they want to be hard-headed and stubborn and not listen to. They're like, oh, Mr. Perry's lived this, or he's experienced it to a certain degree. And I'm forever thankful for all the experiences that I've experienced so far.
Would you ever move back to Georgia to teach?
No. And my mom and dad have asked me.
Because I asked because I have a friend from middle school. He went to school down south, and he's from New York, and he just decided to apply for a teaching job outside of Atlanta. So that's why I was intrigued, because it's interesting when everyone from New York is trying to flee, and then you decide to take that leap of faith and come up. So that's a different, type of, thing. But how'd you get to English? Like, you coming from the music background, you would assume maybe music teacher. Not to say you may know how to do instruments and stuff like that, but how did you decide on English as the subject you wanted to teach?
That was my major in college.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And so it was just easy, to fall into that type of subject to teach. Because when I first started about teaching, I was like, I'm not good with kids. I'm not patient. I'm very militant. Like, I'm very strict with myself. So like, I'm not going to be a great teacher. Like, I'm just like, no one's going to like me. But it's not true. Like, the style in which that I have works so well with kids. And so like English, it was just a no-brainer. Now I'm telling you now, I wanted to leave Georgia, but if it was a math position, I would still be in Georgia. Like,
really?
Not good at math. But science and history I could finesse, but math, no.
If you could do science, you could do math.
No.
Oh, that's not true.
It's very much true, and I definitely sounded like Juanita Miles. So I'm just gonna let the guys ask you a question, because I fucked myself up just now. I was like, "Oh, I sound like my mom just now," and that was wild. Because I was like that. English is never my thing. Like them over there, they love it. Me, no. I was always a math and science girl, so that's why I was like, "Oh, if you can do science, you do math." So.
Interesting.
But yeah, so you get to New York, you're now a teacher. How does a club about wrestling come into play?
But like, before you answer that, when you got into the music industry and start making music?
When did I?
You put both headphones on.
So I didn't start making music until 2016. So at the end of like my music industry dreams. So like I was doing music industry stuff all throughout college since freshman year. So for 4 years in college, I was just grinding, trying to be a music exec. I wanted to be the next LA Reid. And while I was in New York, so I'm very shy. And so I didn't tell LA Reid or anyone on the staff that I was a singer. And so we went to Good Morning America. They sent all the interns, and we were front row, and they used to host like this American Idol thing where like they'll pick a random person in the audience and have to get on stage and sing. And
were you that random person?
I was. And so it went viral at Epic, and they were like, "What, you sing?" They're like, "What? Oh my God!" Like, yo. And so one of the HR reps told me when I didn't get the job when I was up in the city, they were like, "You should pursue music. Like, maybe that's your calling." And so that's why I ended up doing music in 2016. My dad built a studio in our house. It's actually really incredible how it looks. Like, we took one of the rooms and like renovated it and like turned the closet into a booth. Like,
wow.
And like we worked hard that summer to create a project. And then from there, it's just been building blocks, just me being in the city, being exposed to so many amazing artists and young minds, just it's been a stepping stone where it's just like been one after the other with music.
Oh man, that's absolutely amazing. So,
hell yeah.
How long have you been a wrestling fan, and why did you take that love for wrestling and bring it to the club?
So I've been a wrestling fan. I was a fan from 2002 to about 2009.
So that was when HBK came back.
Yeah.
Ruthless aggression, baby.
Yeah, I'm a ruthless aggression baby all the way. And then I stopped in 2000. I don't know why I keep saying 2009, because music. My love for music was starting to grow right in high school. And then I got back into pro wrestling 2020 during the pandemic. SummerSlam was the exact date.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay. What made you get back? What made you like, watch this?
My brother, my twin, he stayed. I don't know how he did it. Like, he stayed a fan from 2002 all the way till now. Like, he watched programming all throughout. I don't know how he did it. But he would continually like update me on like certain things. Like, he'd say, you should check out Sasha Banks. I remember that being a name that he used to say all the time. I was like, okay. Ben Balor, Roman Reigns. I knew Roman because of The Rock. So like, I heard all these names, but I didn't care because I didn't know them. And so during the pandemic, I had nothing to do.
Like
he was like, just watch it. He was like, just turn it on. And so we watched SummerSlam together. And then there was where I saw a lot of those names. I saw Sasha Banks and was like, whoa, she can wrestle. Like, and then I saw Roman Reigns, and I think he was returning. So I was like, okay, I can see why everyone loves him.
Oh, that was the return fight.
Dang, you caught the good Roman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I went back and researched and watched and saw how he's had a career.
Rough.
But one thing that really stuck with me and made me stay. So one of my favorite wrestlers and the person who got me into wrestling is Victoria. I've always been a fan of hers. I don't know if it's because my name is Victor and my mom's name is Victoria. So it was just an instant connection. So she retired in 2009. So that's why I stopped. And so to see women the way that they were being used, I was like, this is insane. I was like, when I was watching it, they had 3-minute matches and they were bra and panties. Now you got them talking on the mic. You got them main eventing. You got them out wrestling the men. I was like, yo, this is crazy. And then I found out that they had Evolution and they had a Royal Rumble. It was just like, imagine like someone being in a coma and they were sleeping for like 20 years. And wake up and see all this change. I was just like, I can get behind this product. And so that's why I just became a fan. Like, that SummerSlam made me a fan instantly. Like, I just started following Caroline since then. Yeah.
That's dope, man.
So wait, so now that it's been your 2-year anniversary, because you had to reset, what did you think about SummerSlam this year?
It was incredible.
Good questions.
It was absolutely incredible.
What made it incredible? Like, what
it had remnants of the Attitude Era, Ruthless Aggression Era, like, and then the modern era. And like, that's what I liked about it, starting it off with the women and like, it's I'm speechless still. Like, the fact they were able to pull off such a great segment and then for it to just flow, even with some of the matches that were kind of weaker, they still felt appropriate. And it felt like it was just enough to give us to that main event. Like, who's seen a ring 35 degrees?
Get lifted. like
no one's that was crazy.
Never.
Like we've seen rings on, fire around the ring. We've seen rings implode. We've seen, holes in the ring, people coming in and out. Yeah. We've seen all that. But a ring to be lifted.
That was crazy.
That's definitely different.
Yeah. Like, I say, if you're not a fan of wrestling, I'm going to show them that pay-per-view.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was showing that pay-per-view.
Yeah.
So
I like this guy, Vic, man. Like, he's a ruthless aggression baby.
He loves That's his era. That's what he loves.
Nah, like you
He
have
always
to
talk about ruthless
understand. Like
aggression.
I'm a little bit older than you by a
As he
lot.
thinks
Like you have to understand. Ruthless aggression era with the
Mhm.
video games, they are reckoning.
Oh.
It comes to pain. They reckoning
Yes.
1 and 2.
Yes.
Boy.
Yes. Yes. So that was the time to be able. Christmas was fun. That was the only gift we wanted every year was the SmackDown games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how did the club start though?
So that was. So I'm at a new school. So I started a new school in the pandemic, which was crazy. I left my old school for 4 years. So I taught there from 2016 to 2020, and left right when the pandemic started, literally. And so I'm at a brand new school. We're virtual. So I'm teaching these fifth graders because I was a fifth grade teacher up until I came to this new school. I'm teaching these fifth graders, and teaching online on Zoom was such a culture shock for teachers. To connect with kids, it really challenged you to hold their attention span. And so I said, when I got into I knew going into 2021, when we're going back into the school, I was like, I'm going to have to do something. Like, they looped me, which I've never done before in my life. I've always taught brand new fifth graders. And I've always complained because I'm like, it's always starting over, like meeting new kids with bad habits and trying to get them to understand the art of school and learning. So they were like, I guess God heard my prayers. And he was like, we're going to have this school loop you. So they were going to make me teach to fifth graders in sixth grade, and then in seventh grade, and then in eighth grade. So I'm now teaching the sixth graders, and they were my fifth graders. So I already know them a little bit. And so I was like, they're going to have to know me. Like, I didn't get a chance to really like build that connection with them the way I wanted online. So I would speak about wrestling in my do nows, which are like the first 5 minutes of the lesson, every now and then, just making like those allusions to it. But I guess it was planting a seed. And so one day I was teaching, it was in October, and I saw a post from Bianca Belair saying that they were having a meet and greet at Cricket. And I was like, oh, I said it under my breath, but it was loud enough for some of the kids to hear. And I was like, I'm going to go meet Bianca Belair. Like, I was like, I'm going to go do that. And then one of the little kids was like, what? I like Bianca Belair. She's awesome. And I was like, go back to work. And then after I'm telling you guys, I have this disposition as Victor, as this shy, easy, chill guy. But in the classroom, Mr. Perry, he's a drill sergeant. I don't play. So like my first instinct was go back to work. But then I was like, wait, he likes wrestling. So then I went over to him and was like, you really like wrestling? He was like, yeah, I do. And so I was like, how about this? I'm going to take you to meet Bianca. He was like, no, you're not. I said, yes, I am. So I called his mom and told her, and she was like, sure. So then after that class period, I went to the teacher workroom, and then I saw where it said Survivor Series is coming to Brooklyn. And I freaked out because I was like, what? I've never been to a pay-per-view, never been to a show. I'm an adult now. I can make my own decisions.
Hold on. Rewind. You never went to a live event when y'all had WrestleMania in Atlanta?
No, I wasn't a fan.
Oh, yeah, you forgot, Janelle. You forgot, Mama. Yeah.
I mean, I didn't go to, like, you're not alone. I didn't go to a live event until like 3 years ago.
Oh.
Yeah, like I didn't go to a live event like WWE until we started this wrestling channel.
I haven't gone to a live event. I've been wrestling my life, so I haven't gotten. So I'm with you on that one. So it's not.
Yeah,
it's not.
Me too.
It's nothing brand new on that.
But
go ahead.
I thought it was some enigma or something.
No.
Gotcha.
No, you're not at all. You're not at all. You're like,
Janelle's like, you are.
No,
because it's interesting because the only time I remember that I stopped watching wrestling, and it was when I was in college because we didn't have the channel. And then literally once I finished school was when this one started doing the viewing parties. Literally like right after that. So I would go to the bar and watch the pay-per-views at least. And then that kind of got me back into watching. So everyone takes a time out. So I will adjust to that.
Time out. I'm just saying
No. You just didn't. Yeah, just didn't go. Because even at my job, there's like 4 guys that watches wrestling, and we always talk about it or whatever. For weeks, the guys have been like hyped up because they had got tickets for Raw that just passed, And that was their first live event. And I was just like, what? And it was like, yeah, they had got TV side. They had spent money on belts. They went all out for their first show. And I was just like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
So, but it's always refreshing. I think for me, it's refreshing to see other people really have that enjoyment, that first time enjoyment.
Yeah. And so like I had that in the teacher workroom and I freaked out. It was literally, y'all, rent was due. And I forgot. Well, I didn't forget. I just didn't care. I went on SeatGeek and just spent like, I think I bought like the tickets. They were like right by the, like close enough to the ring, but they were like risers for $500. Didn't even care. And then once I did it, I was like, oh snap, I can't afford to pay my rent. And so I was like, you live a little, I'll call my landlord. I've been good, he'll probably forgive me. And so I bought those tickets, but then I thought about the kid and I was like, dang. And I was like, but I didn't know when I was going to be able to spend $1,000 for both of us. So I was like, at least I'll get to take him to meet Bianca. So I went to Survivor Series that Sunday, later on in November. Had the time of my life, went by myself, and I was a kid. Like, I got to see, like, that was a great pay-per-view. And so then, and I didn't sleep at all after, because, you have a high. And so, and I knew I was like, dang it, like, I need to go to bed, but I can't. And so that Monday, the next day, I got up at like 6 a.m. because I know New York. And I remember when I used to do internships, when we used to have artists and celebrities do meet and greets, people will walk, like wrap around the building early. So I was like, I'm not going to let these people out, like beat me to meet Bianca. Like I got to meet my girl. So I got there at 6 a.m. and stood out there from 6 a.m. because this thing didn't start till like 11. So I stood out there and I'm telling you, I had not slept. I think it had been like 24 hours. And so the kid obviously didn't stay out there that long. He got there right at 11. And so his parents were smart. But anyway, we were in line and we got to meet Bianca and she took pictures with us. She cut a promo for me, for the kids, like shouting at the children. And they were offering us raffle tickets. Like everyone that was there, was like 1,000 people. They got raffle tickets. And so the first 3 names that they called, one of them was mine. And so we ended up winning tickets to Raw that night. So I ended up getting to take the kid to Raw. Like,
you have a luck around you that I can't even explain that.
What happened to your old ticket? Did you sell it or something?
No, he only went to see, only had plans for Survivor Series. He didn't have tickets for Raw. So when he won the raffle, that's how he was able to take the little boy with him.
Yes.
That's actually really dope, though.
And that's how the club started.
Huh? What was the seat at? What was your seat at?
Oh, they gave us good seats, man. It wasn't on the TV side, but it was right. Like, all we had to do was we were on the front row of the risers, so we could have just walked straight to the front. Like, they gave us good, like, all the raffle ticket. People had, like, great seats. We had such great seats. We were able to see Seth Rollins when the guy came out and, like, attacked him. We were able to see all of that.
We was there for that.
Yeah, we could see all of that. But being able to take in, I think, like you said, Janelle, with the first time experience, I already had mine that Sunday. So to see the kids' first time experience, it was beautiful. He was like, he was mimicking every wrestler's entrance. He was standing up cheering. Like when the Seth Rollins things happened, he like was chanting with the audience, the A word, the A-hole. Like, and I wasn't even mad because I was like, yo, you are invested and you're having the time of your life. And so that sparked the wrestling club because the next day he was recapping it for all the children. And
now he gave the tea. Now
did.
everybody go.
He made us. Oh yeah, like he had to show the video.
He low-key threw you under the bus, probably.
He really did. He really did because he was like, Mr. Perry took me to get Chipotle, and like we went and like he bought me a belt for $80 because I bought him a wrestling belt. Like it was just so much fun. And
rent, did you?
Oh, I did not pay rent. No, I didn't.
Didn't pay rent at all.
I spoke to the landlord and he was just like, I'll let you, I came up with some random excuse, but no, I didn't pay rent. Like, look, this is how I was thinking. I haven't paid it already. I might as well just keep spending all the money. Like,
just keep going. That's the truth, though. That is.
We all all laughing because we all been there. Like, you know what? I already spent a good chunk of it.
Right.
That's like when you buy. That's like if you bought like something like $200, and then the next thing you need to get is like $3. You fuck it. I'm this deep. I'm already this deep, and now you know set the bar so high for his parents. Probably really upset with you because they now gotta take their child to probably every show.
So I'll get to that because, like you said, God is good, you know, and
Amen.
I give him thanks every single time. And ever since that moment, I haven't had to spend for any tickets. Thank God for anything. WWE has been so gracious to me in the club. So I'm eternally grateful to him that my sacrifice was rent, I think, you know, taking that risk because I didn't think anything. Like when we started the club, I had no intentions of posting anything on the internet. I had no intentions of tagging wrestlers. It was just a simple, hey, let's just watch Monday Night Raw together. And then it became, let's watch SmackDown. Then it became, let's watch pay-per-views. Then it became, oh my goodness, I'm going to teach you something. Like I want to teach you about storylines and teach you about character development in those storylines. And then let's look at the different jobs that comes with wrestling. And while it was happening, like all of that through those months from like December, January, February, because really February is really the month that changed everything. I was learning. I had no idea what podcasts were for wrestling. I didn't know what journalism was. I didn't know about producing and like managing like all the different jobs within wrestling. I had no idea. And I wish I could go back to when I was 10 and had someone introduce me to that, because I don't think I would have followed music. I think I would have followed wrestling and had a career, you know, being a speaker or being an on-air talent or anything like that within pro wrestling, because it brings me so much joy. And so like fast forward now, I'm paying it back or paying it forward, I guess, in a sense with my kids. So like the club took on a whole new meaning as the months went by. But yeah, I don't know if you have questions for me about February and March, but like that's when February and March is when everything changed for the kids.
But
well, tell us.
Go
ahead.
Is how did you get the club started? How did they get approved? Because people that don't like wrestling don't understand wrestling.
Yep.
So I work hard in anything that I do, and I try to be number one. And so my principal trusts me. He's like, your data looks great. Your kids are well managed. What is it that you want to do? Because I don't ask for anything in my school. I don't take off. Like we have 9 PTO days. I think I took 2 because of a death. Like I don't take off. When I'm sick, I'm at work. So like I think that helped when I was like, hey, I want to hold a wrestling club with my kids. They're like, they're gonna wrestle? That was the first question. Like, they're gonna wrestle? I'm like, no. And so when I explained it to them, they were kind of like, okay. And so it was only during lunch and recess. And so one day, the principal actually came in once and sat in and was like, this is cool. He was like, I was showing a Stone Cold thing. He was like, oh, I remember him when I was a kid. Like, so it kind of like, I think my credibility as a teacher helped cushion the blow. Because like you said, some people don't like wrestling. Some people only attribute it to being violent and reckless and just, we know how the Attitude Era was. But no, support has been crazy. Like I was texting my principal earlier today and I was like, I know it's a new school year, so I'm not going to bother you yet. But I was like, I have so many things I want to do for the wrestling club because so many people have reached out. They want to come to the school. They want to take the kids on trips. And so I was like, get ready. And he was just like, he was like, okay, Perry. Like, all right.
Whatever you say.
Yeah.
Wait, so how many kids are in the club?
Yeah.
Like, is there like an application process? Like, because you may have other kids that, you know, because kids talk, like, as much as we don't, kids talk. So I'm pretty sure there are other kids in other classes that are like, man, I want to be a part of the club.
Yeah, no, we have that. We have that. Right now it's just 6th grade.
Okay.
And it's 37 kids that have signed up. I would say out of the 37, we have a good 25 that are there almost every day. And then in the chat that we have, like the group chat that I have over the summer for the ones that I was able to get approved the text, we have about 15 kids.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So wait, what have you guys been talking about over the summer?
Everything. Anything that you've seen in the news.
Like what? Like how did they feel about Vince retiring?
I was just about to ask that.
How did they feel about Vince's retirement?
Because sixth grade is an interesting level because they don't know
Vince how we know Vince,
but they don't know certain things, and then they only listen. They were very heavy on social media stuff, so they probably
they know. I keep it real with them. I think that's what keeps. I'm very transparent, so not because I know how accessible information is in this day and age. So if I don't tell them, they're going to find it on Google or find it on Twitter or find it on Instagram, and then they're going to not trust me. And I don't want that. The biggest thing you can have with a kid is trust. And so I'm just honest with them. When Vince McMahon, when the articles came out, I sat them down and we spoke about it. Of course, I broke it down for kids, but I explained to them the gravity of the situation. And then they all came up with the conclusion that he was not a nice guy. And I was like, yeah, like he's that side of him, is interesting. But we then spoke about like throughout the summer, like the different things that would come out. And then the retirement, we spoke about it. And they were kind of like, okay. And then so when I told them Triple H was in charge, they were like, oh, we like him because they know about his matches. So
I love Trips too.
Yeah, Triple H is fire. It was an easy, most of the conversations have been easy. The hardest conversation is Sasha. That's the hardest.
So talk a little bit about, you mentioned that shift in your club. Talk a little bit about the amazing experience your kids had meeting Sasha Banks.
So that was around February, March. So the tweet happened. She tweeted us, said she wanted to come, and then May happened, and they made it happen. And it was such an amazing experience. Like, I didn't know kids could get that loud. Like, to be honest, I didn't know.
I didn't know that. Y'all don't have Spirit Day.
They quiet. I'm telling you, I'm a drill sergeant. Like,
I
don't play that. But like, it was just so much fun, and like, she didn't feel larger than life. Like, she felt down to earth. Like, she was taking, like, they told, like, when I met them, they gave us a time. We only had like 15, 20 minutes. We went well over that. She was so gracious and like answering all the questions, dancing and singing with the kids. She took the pictures with them. She did post interviews, and then we spoke one-on-one, like after, like it was done. It was just like, she was just so great. And like the kids, for the first time, I could see in their eyes
hope.
Yes, because here's someone that they've been seeing on TV and seeing in class that we're talking about and we're breaking down and studying. And then she's in their face in a classroom where they learn. What better image can you have for kids?
Yeah.
Like,
I wish I was a kid and someone came to my classroom.
Fast.
So talk a little bit about, you said it was a little difficult when you had a conversation about Sasha. So they just meet Sasha, they fall in love with her even more.
They are in love.
When it had to happen.
Say it one more time, you broke out.
No, how did that conversation happen when you had to have that conversation?
Man, it happened in real time. I'm talking about, because we had a group chat. So that Raw, when they said it, and then they said those words, unprofessional and things like that, the kids are messaging, because they know what professionalism is. And so I'm like, here I am trying to process my own emotions and my own bias. And here they are asking questions. So I was like, we'll talk about it in school tomorrow. And so we spoke about it. And I explained to them, what it's like being Black and being excellent, and the responsibility that carries, and what's the right word? the consequences of that excellence and how it's perceived when someone doesn't look like you. And we spoke about it. We spoke about the unfair treatment. We spoke about previous instances where that may have happened and how it was handled. And it was gravy. Like, it wasn't anything difficult then. It wasn't until SmackDown. Then that's when.
When Michael Cole said what he said?
Then that's when the kids were angry. And they were like, I'm talking about livid. They were like, we don't want to watch it. We don't want to support it. And I'm like, no, we can't do that. Like, let's talk about it, because you're going to run into these situations when you're of age, if not at this age,
Right, like right now at lunch, that can go down.
Yes.
Exactly. Are majority of your children Black?
Yes. All of them are, except for, well, the entire school, really, I would say, is 98% Black. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Man,
So
that's huge, though. It's having those types of conversations, and then them taking it pretty well, like, and having that adult back and forth. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Is that how you always approach your teaching process of when it comes to hard subject matters?
Always. We speak about racism. We speak about poverty. We speak about a myriad of topics in our books that we read. And so we speak about abuse, especially. And so, like, that, I just drew upon that. Because the club, I guess I have to, the club is not a space where there's no learning happening. I'm still a teacher. And so I still treat it like a classroom. So that's why we're able to have discourse, because I do it in my classroom for ELA. Like, most of my class is, once we've read the book, we're talking. I want to know your opinion. I advocate for agency with kids, and advocate. I get so upset when they don't use their voice. Like, if you want to make me angry, is you don't speak up. Like, I get so upset about it, because it's like the world automatically wants to silence us and doesn't want to hear what we have to say. So you're in a safe space. Let's practice what it's like to be comfortable using our voice, so that when it's uncomfortable, you know how to use it. You know what it's like to be comfortable. And so in the wrestling club, it's the same thing. It's the exact same thing. And so, like, when we're having those conversations, it's just like, okay, respect each other, respect me, and let's talk. And the kids, they listen, and then they respond. One kid wrote a letter to Vince. I never shared it with anyone. This is the first time I'm actually sharing that. She wrote a letter to Vince.
You should mail it.
She was not happy. And she aired her grievances. She spoke about, what it meant to see Sasha Banks in person, what it meant to see a Black woman. Also Naomi, like, she's a fan of Naomi and the Bellas. So, like, she has that connection as well. And so, like, I was like, great. How do you feel now? I feel good. All right, let's throw it in the trash. And we threw it in the trash. Like, it's just giving them ways to, I'm all about expression as well. Express yourself. And that's why, like, the club is so dear to me, because when we first started watching wrestling in the club, they didn't react at all. They would just sit there and be quiet. And I'm like, why is it like they should be marking out for this? Like, I was showing them, I was showing them Ricochet doing flips and Bianca lifting girls above her head, and they were just like, But it wasn't because they didn't want to. They didn't feel comfortable enough. They thought it'd be weird to cheer in a classroom and clap. But when I tell you, after a couple weeks, you've seen the videos. Them kids lose their minds.
They are a rowdy bunch, but they got all the love in the world for wrestling. And it's so dope because, we always talk about it, even on our podcast, like growing up in the beginning when we started, like, we didn't have that, like it was kind of like shunned. Like, you didn't want to talk about wrestling. You didn't want to admit you was a wrestling fan and things like that. So it's really a beautiful sight to see that, your kids have that safe space, that we didn't have as kids. And that hopefully, your impact on your kids and what you're doing in your school, someone else sees it and continues the process and does a club for them and their kids. Because I think it's super important, because that's their audience. that PG era that's their audience. So they they're gravitating to them. So to be able to talk about it and speak about it in such a way where they don't feel scared, I think is phenomenal. And it's a cheers to you, because it takes is one person to really make a change and do something different, and then it's to see the effects of it in real time. Like, no one else will be able to tell. No one else has your experience at all. So I think it's super dope. Have you been able to, when you guys read books, be able to, like, let's say like for like Shakespeare or something of that, you guys been able to like give characters in the book and the kids name them after wrestlers, or like relate to the related in that way?
Haven't tried that yet, but I will.
Oh, wow.
What we have done is act out scenes. So I'll let the kids take a scene from, like, we were reading But Not Buddy. I don't know if you read that. It's a historical fiction set in the Great Depression. A Black kid who's looking for his family, his father, because his mother's dead and he doesn't have an identity. And we let the kids choose scenes and they acted it out. And that was fun. So fingers crossed that these fifth graders that I'm having that's coming up this year are into wrestling, and I don't got to do a lot of like convincing. We'll definitely do something like that.
But I think what you're doing is fun, first of all.
Facts. Because I want to do this with you. I was like, hey, can I?
Right, like, I want to go to school, right?
Yeah, so it's regardless.
I want to sit at a desk and raise my hand and yes, Mr. Perry. Like, I totally want to do that.
But it's also like you're also doing something different. And number two, you may not know this, and we'll never know. You probably saved a couple kids' lives.
Yeah. Because
a lot of times, some kids don't have a place for self-expression, like you spoke about, where they feel comfortable, a safe place per se. And they go home, they go back to the hood, they go back to the block, and then they do something stupid, and they feel that's the best way for them to express themselves. You know what I mean? And you've given these kids a safe space, not about wrestling, but a safe space just to be
in general themselves.
Fun.
They could breathe.
And,
and
I pride my teaching on being transferable.
Yeah.
And so that's my goal, is what you're speaking to, is it needs to be transferable. I don't want kids to think that this only lives here in this one space. No, there's a world outside those four walls.
That's God's.
Yeah. Huh?
That's God. Somebody has a ringer going off, and
it's my roommates.
It's not. That's God.
God is not calling us. Like,
no, God is calling him. Like, yo, this is your calling, baby. Because every time something profound about the wrestling club, that ringer went off. I'm just saying. Just saying.
But it's funny. I believe you, and it's weird because someone brought that to my attention. Someone messaged me when they heard me speak about this on another podcast, and I was like, "What?" Because for me, my mind works like an engine. It's just continually ticking. I never sit down and actually process and think about what I'm doing. And so people online, they remind me with tweets when they're sending me messages like, Vic, like, this is what you're doing, like with the kids cutting promos. For me, that was, we talk in class. You feel me? And I've seen their growth because I've taught them for 2 years. So yeah, I know what kids can speak and what kids can't. And so to see them cut promos and write their own promos and create their own character names and things like that, to me, it was big, but it was like, okay, cool. But for someone else who's on the outside looking in, they're like, do you understand? Like, you're teaching them public speaking and you don't even realize it. And I'm like, you're right. Or when the ticket thing with the raffle ticket happened, for me, it was just like, oh, it's one ticket. I didn't think like that was divine intervention. Like God was planting that seed there in that moment for the club to even be something when we won those tickets. It was 1,000 people. What were the odds? You feel me?
My homegirl, Tiffany, took her daughter
to that Raw.
And that's how she took her to that Cricket Wireless, because I didn't know about that, because if I would have known about that, a girl would have been online at 5 a.m. So my homegirl that I've known half my life, and she has a little girl, and both parents are into wrestling. Well, more one the father than her, but she took her daughter to the Cricket Wireless store because it wasn't far from her house, and she took a picture with Bianca, met her, and all that stuff. So like, you never know, like with raffles and like things like that, but everything happens for a reason. So it was a reason why you was able to take that little boy. It was a reason why you were able to now create a club to now it being bigger than what you even imagined to be. Because that really is what the next level is going to be.
They're never going to forget
for the club. No,
I mean, the thing, like, I'll be honest with you, Vic. Can I call you Vic?
Of course.
Of course. Cool. Like, you have to understand, Vic, is you helping the wrestling business to evolve because you're teaching them there is life beyond the ring. You understand? You teaching them you could be a ref, you could be a seamstress, you could be a person that works on promos, videoing, and anything. So your club of 35 students, there could be 35 Black students who help elevate the wrestling business. And on top of that is, you don't know if one of your kids go to a local school, Fallout Shelter, check out that great school for great teachers, Fallout Shelter. That kid end up in one of these wrestling schools. Next thing you know, he's the first version of himself. Because you help him with the promos, you help him to lay out storylines, and then when he retire, he's a showrunner because of you. Bigger picture. So Vic, you have to understand, man, you're doing something that a lot of people may not understand this because it's such on a small level. But you doing your part, you're part of the world. So you're helping the world to be a better place. So whenever you feel discouraged, understand that you put yourself aside and like you let God work. Just like in the Bible says, it says when John said, I must decrease for Jesus to increase. It said I must decrease for God to increase. The fact you're doing that, King, keep it up.
You like Bill Russell, B. You like a player's coach?
Yes.
How to bring the
that was the route we went. I was like,
I appreciate it though.
Nah, it's really cool. It's really dope. But you spoke about February and March. How has that relationship with WWE and the people there developed since then?
Okay, hold on. These kids are blowing up my phone. I don't know why. I must have missed something.
Do we know that? Do they know we're talking about them?
No, they think I'm watching NXT, so something must have happened because they didn't stop texting me. I got like 20 notifications, but I'll get back to them. What was your question?
So the question was, how has the relationship between you and WWE and the wrestling community in general developed since February, March? How has it grown? Did you know that one?
A lot of the wrestlers are supportive. Some are more public than others. Some choose to be private.
Of course.
But it's beautiful. And my thing is, I just want to give my kids the world. And so, first off, like my favorite wrestler right now, that's not main roster is Carmelo Hayes. So to have that connection with him, like we talk a lot. And he supports the club.
He's a good guy.
He's a good guy. Yeah, we've actually known him from when he was on the Indies. We've known him before he got signed and stuff. Yeah. So to see, someone, and we have a lot of people we known, whether it was before we started doing the podcast and stuff like that, have been running on the Indies and are now signed, and they find their own ways to give back, and I think that is the dopest thing about all of this is that it always comes full circle. So for the kid, because I saw that, I was like, it's his birthday. I only knew it because your kid said happy birthday. I was like,
and like he talks to them a lot. Like he is a member. I would say he's a member of the club. Like it's not if, it's just when he gets to come see them at this point. Like he supports the kids, and a lot of the boys needed that. And to have that connection, to know like there's somebody that's this awesome on screen and being portrayed as a black man, not some watered down black man, but a black man with the talk and the style and the swag.
Mm-hmm.
It inspires me, you know. And like, I wish I had that as a kid. I'm telling you, I'd probably have his spot. You know, like I would want to have that if I had him like in my life as a kid.
Victor acting like he not out here probably bagging mad bitches. Like, let's not do this
come
now.
on, man.
Let's
like,
not water yourself down. This man is
on.
first of all, he's a Morehouse man, so that's at the top.
Hey,
let's talk about that. And then now he a teacher, so now he's
and he could sing. You know what?
And he can sing.
Like text good morning. He said voice notes. Good morning, Queen.
I'm screaming, yo.
Come on, I know you do.
Y'all are funny.
Man. I know you do. And after that, what you do? Lick your lips like.
Yeah, y'all are funny.
Don't listen. Just promise me, don't LL yourself. Don't LL.
Never.
Too much. You are a Southern man. No, he's a Southern man. So he's a gentleman. You can tell though. Come on.
But Becky Lynch is another supporter.
Okay.
That woman, I love her. I love Carmelo and I love Sasha and I love Bianca. But I love me some Becky Lynch. Yeah, she really opened my eyes to a lot of things. And
if you can talk about it.
Okay, I'll talk about what I can talk about. So there's a girl in the club.
I'm sorry, yo, no bullshit. I'm starting to think my man over here is like, he got some contract. He signed. And we just don't know it yet.
My son did like this. He put his leg up like this. He's like, put the glasses back.
He had to think about that. He was like, hold on, I could share
this story.
I knew there was something because when I was like,
he paused.
What?
He paused.
It's nothing like crazy.
It don't matter.
No, it's fine.
I just want to respect. I just want to make sure I respect her and her relationship. But with us as kids in the club, but there's a girl in the club who is she didn't watch wrestling at all until this kid is my favorite student.
Don't say that too loud, my G.
Oh yeah. He's one of my favorite students. I've never met a kid this smart before in my life. I mean, her sister was just valedictorian. She just graduated, and this girl is going to be valedictorian. I've never seen any kid this smart.
This 8th grade or 6th grade?
This kid?
No,
her sister?
No, the school. Does it go up to the school that you're teaching at? Does it go up
it goes up to it's K through 8.
Okay.
And they split it, so we're in the same school. Elementary is at the bottom floor. We're at the top floor.
Okay.
Yeah. And so this kid, she's obsessed with me and I'm obsessed with her. Like, I love her. I'm like her dad. Like, I give her everything that she asked for. And so she was like, you like wrestling, Mr. Perry? I was like, yes. I'm going to join the club. But I was like, you don't watch it. That's okay. I'm going to watch it. When I tell y'all I cannot, that's the one who's texting me. She is the biggest wrestling fan in the world. This girl watches wrestling 24/7 now. So when I took them to Madison Square Garden the first time, it was a house show. And at that time, everyone loved Bianca. Like, we were on the Bianca train because we were studying her SummerSlam story. And
we still on that train.
Right before, literally, y'all, this was right before WrestleMania. So they had a title match. And I already knew, like, house shows, you're not going to win the title. But they didn't know this. So Becky was wrestling her, and when Bianca lost because Becky cheated, all the kids were literally like upset. Some were literally crying. And then there's this one little girl next to me, and she's like, I'm like, what is your problem? I like Becky. I was like, over Bianca? And she was like, yes, I love Becky Lynch. And I was like, okay, I thought she was playing. No, for days and days after, that obsession became real. And like, Becky Lynch is her life. I mean, she created her final project on Becky. She has wallflower, like her wallpapers are Becky.
Wait, her final project was on Becky? Explain the final project.
So this is what I'm talking about. This girl is so smart. She can convince any teacher to let her use Becky Lynch for a project. So this is her computer science class. They were supposed to create their own house in a computer science class. She created a house. but it was dedicated to Becky. Like,
Wow.
like
she is on it. It just
She's
shows
on
she likes heels. That's all that is.
yeah,
Like
she
you.
does. And she dyed her hair. She orange, like she put orange in her hair, like orange
She
braids.
died.
Like she's obsessed. And so I sent it to Becky, and she saw it, and she was like, "This is so cute." And I'll stop there with that. But just know, like Becky
That's
knows.
fair.
Becky knows the little girl. The little girl knows Becky, and so she helped us get tickets to Madison Square Garden, the 20 tickets. So if it was
that was nice.
She made sure, and we surprised the little girl and got her backstage to meet Becky.
Oh, she no good. She is no good.
Yeah, she was, and the thing was, I didn't even get to go backstage. Like I didn't care. Like that's how I knew like I'm doing this for the kids, because I didn't care at this point. I was like, y'all can only take 2 kids, take her. And so they took her and the first kid who I took the Raw. They took him.
Yo, he's forever gonna get everything.
Listen, that's my son. So like he gets everything.
Right.
Too.
Like at that point, I'm like, he about to get everything.
Yeah. But like, and then to see her meet Becky, and she came back and showed us the pictures, and then we had Raw. And I was like, wow, like I'm doing the damn thing, Perry. Like you're making these kids' lives incredible.
Changing lives.
Then there's a video of it. Y'all should go watch it if you haven't seen it. Becky comes out and the little girl loses her mind.
Oh.
It was top 2 best experience I've ever had as a teacher. Top 2.
Wait, what's the first one?
My kids passing the state test. Come on, man. Come on.
Look, I knew it had to either be a test or graduation. So it was one or the other.
Yeah, and y'all have to see the video. I was just like, this is why I do this. I want to do this for all the kids. So like now the kids are like, well, we want to meet Bianca. We want to meet Bianca. And I'm like, Bianca's a busy woman, y'all. If they're in New York, I'll try. But she's a busy woman. So like she's high up on the list. It's Bianca, Roman, Biggie, Ricochet. And
listen, Biggie good for pulling up.
I know. So
he's actually really good to pull up.
I want to make it to where the wrestlers can come and just chill with the kids. Like it doesn't have to be a PR thing. It doesn't have to be this grand thing. I just want the kids to have that connection with them and like know that this is within your reach, not them, but what they represent. It's in your reach. It's just because you come from an area that is plagued with violence and where you're a number or a statistic doesn't mean you have to be a part of it. Yeah. And that's what I want them to see with this club.
So what are the plans for the new school year for the club? And how do we sign up?
All right. So you got to have a 3.0 GPA.
I've been out of school a while, so you can't do that part. But okay, continue.
I can't do that part.
It's after school. I'm still trying to figure out how many days, because I still got to do my music. I still got to be Mr. Perry outside of school. But it probably Monday, probably 3 days out of the week. I'm not sure yet. We'll see.
I'm trying to pull up.
Yo, I literally want to do. I want to do a live show with the kids.
Yeah, me too. I definitely want to bring people like you guys to the kids. I want them to see what you do. It's important.
Listen, Vic, this is a great setup. You know, I'm a referee. She's part owner of a wrestling. Of a wrestling company. My brother assists in one of those biggest independent wrestling. He does backstage. He trained to be a wrestler. So listen, you got the trifecta, B.
Wait,
Tri-sword.
Facts. Okay, y'all come in next week. All right, I'll give you all the details. No. Let me get the school. Listen. This is what my.
Listen. You know what? I'll clear my schedule.
I would definitely.
I almost thought about that. I was like, oh shoot, wait, I'm going to Chicago at the end of the week, but if it's the beginning of the week, I can do it.
No, but honestly, I would love to talk to them about, because you mentioned a lot of things. Like what my brother spoke about is, yes, there's so many things you can do within the wrestling community. Like, for instance, like she is a part owner of a company. My brother referee. I do backstage stuff. I work in media for different companies with wrestling. So there's things that you can do outside of just being a wrestler, or just it can be a hobby. Like, you know what I mean? There's so much you can, and then you raised that point in the beginning of this conversation of you wanted to just show the kids things outside of just the squared circle. And you're all like you said, like the person told you, you're teaching them life skills without teaching them life skills directly. Because when I was teaching, one of the things that I was adamant about was people skills and being okay to talk in front of people. And you're teaching them that, like, when they go backstage, are they being, respectful? Are they meeting these people in a respectable manner? Like, that type of stuff. And you're teaching that.
They
like,
know professionalism.
So
go ahead.
That I was not worried when they were like, we need to take your kids backstage and you can't go. I was like, fine. Wasn't worried because I know they know how to be respectful.
Exactly.
And like with Sasha, when she came, I didn't have time. So like, I didn't even tell y'all about the story about like that day of and how the kids were not in the school building. They went on a field trip.
We want to hear it.
Okay. So, so we haven't done a field trip for the kids since the pandemic. So it just happened to happen on May 6th that they had a chance to take the kids, the whole school, to Times Square to go bowling. And so I told my principal, I was like, oh no, Sasha's coming that day. WWE can't move it because they're only in New York for that taping for SmackDown. And I was like, I really want this to happen. They were like, well, we don't know what we're going to do, Perry. I was like, well, can we get my group of kids back like at a certain time? Because they're coming at a certain time. And they were like, yeah, we'll do that. I was like, are you sure? Like, I don't want these people to come and the kids ain't here. Like, and so they went to Times Square and we made some joke about the phone ringing, but it's the truth because when they were in Times Square, my phone was ringing and 5 teachers were calling me, like FaceTiming me and texting me. Like, what's going on? Mr. Perry, what? We just saw John Cena in Times Square. I was like, what? They saw Cena just walking in a suit going to a business meeting and they waved at him and whatever. But I was like, that's God. He's telling me, Vic, WWE is your day to day. It's everywhere you go. The kids can be in the building or not in the building. WWE is here. And so they went and had fun bowling while I was at school, a nervous wreck. Just
watching the clock, like
right. They got back in time, and then I didn't get a chance to brief them because they didn't know anything was happening. So like I couldn't like say like, hey, just in case, be on your best behavior. Like da 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 da. Them kids were so professional. Like all the video clips you can see, they didn't get up out of their seats.
Actually, one of them, to me, it felt like they were stuck. Like they didn't know how to react. Like
they were just like
she just walked in and they were just like,
this is reality.
Yeah. And like it was so cute because they waited to take turns to ask questions. When she was singing and dancing, they didn't get up and act obscene and obnoxious. Like they let her do her thing. It was just dope. And like I thanked them after. I was like, yo, I just want to thank y'all kids. So I was like, that could have gone. Y'all could have gotten excited and wanted to overstay your welcome because you just don't know. Like you just don't know how you act when you're around somebody famous or whatever. But they were perfect. And so that's why like now I don't think about professionalism with them. Because I know they know how to act. When we go out in public, people are like, you took 17 kids to Madison Square Garden. What was that like? It's a breath of fresh air. Because 1, they know how to act, and 2, they don't want Mr. Perry. Like I told them when we were in the restaurant, you don't want Mr. Perry. And they were like, no, you're right. Like, because they know how I get. So it's like, I don't think about that no more with my kids. Like if y'all came and just hung out with them all day and I wasn't there, I'd be fine. Because I know they know how to act. And so that's a blessing.
So do you have other teachers be hating on you?
I don't know why you asked this question because he can't answer that question.
Yeah, I'm just like,
but I want to know though.
Okay. Mr. Perry, that's what I'm trying to figure out. So when I roll into the school, I know who I'm looking at. Like,
you listen to "Heat It" by Beyonce?
Yes.
Okay, that's all you need to know.
Ooh, heard you. Heard you. Well, speaking about Beyonce, what is next for your music? I love the examples that have been used this entire episode, by the way. But no, what is new? What is up and coming for you as an artist? Like outside of school, not wrestling. What is new? Or what do you have planned? Or what do you want to do?
That I don't know. Like,
and that's okay.
My life has changed. So had you told me in January of 2022 that this will be what I'd be doing, I'd be like, you're lying. What? No, that doesn't sound right, you know, but here we are. Don't know what I'm gonna do with music. I haven't been recording like I used. So I used to record every week. I used to record twice a week because I was writing a song a day. The dance music is very fast. So like their producers are hitting you up every day. Hey, can you write a top line? Can you do this? And I'm like trying to figure out, because I'm my own manager. So I'm trying to broker, okay, you got to pay me this because I still got to, make some money,
Yeah.
But that hustle and bustle is not fun. And I'm also, as an adult, I'm going through and experiencing racism. Can't lie, I'm not.
Really? This is a dumb question because we don't experience it. But in what way are you? If you mind talking about?
Yeah, of course, I don't mind. So I get it. Starting out, people aren't going to take your calls. People aren't going to read your emails. People aren't going to want to work with you. So that was my issue when I first started in 2016. Fast forward 2022, I have 1 million monthly listeners. I have 50 million streams. I've proven myself to be a talented singer.
Yeah, you could sing. You could sing. Like sing. Like I heard no auto-tune or nothing. Like you're old school, I could sing.
Oh yeah.
There's a difference between new school I could sing and old school. Like you don't need no technology.
Yeah. I mean, Whitney's my mom, so I would be doing her disservice if I wasn't. Huh?
Did y'all hear that little brag he did? Say y'all a million streamers.
Word, yo, you ain't see me back.
No, I don't mean it like that. I really
casual.
No.
Casual.
No, you have to do that because if you don't, no one else will.
Yeah.
And you gotta be. You gotta be proud. Yeah, we do that show all the time.
But that's how I'm operating, And so to not get emails and to not get responses and to get ghosted and to be treated differently, I'm like, it's racism because I work with the same guys who do the same thing that I do and they're white. And they're getting emails returned. They're getting opportunities that I'm not getting. And it's frustrating because it's like, I know my worth. You can't sing better than me. Like, you don't add anything. Your writing is my writing can be gospel, it can be country, it can be rock, it can be pop, it can be soul. Like, that's what I grew up on. So it's frustrating when I'm reaching out to people and they're not responding, but then my white friends, they're getting all the emails. Hey, guess what? I got invited to Austria for a writing camp, or I got invited to Romania for a writing camp. I'm like, did you get one? I'm like, no. Like, I reached out to people. They didn't send me anything. And so it's just, that is discouraging, even at my age where I have thick skin. But it's just like, dang, like how much more do I got to do to get looked at? Just to get looked at, or just to get a reply. That's where I'm at right now. Just reply, like say something. Like I have certain managers who I've reached out to and they work with my friends and I'm like, they don't work with me. Like, what is that all about? Like leaving me on red. And so it makes me frustrated because it's like, what else I got to do? Like,
I get you.
Like I'm at 50 million streams, 1 million monthly listeners. I do my own backing tracks, like my vocals. When you get them, they're clean, they're cut, they're ready to go. The writing is dope. It's like, so hopefully, I can just make music fall into wrestling. I love to do theme songs. I love to do wrestlers' themes. I want to figure out how to do that. That's my next goal.
So
Can I tell you something?
I will definitely, if you're able to come to Jobbertears, I'm gonna connect you with two guys that that's been doing theme songs over 10 years.
Like honestly,
for indie wrestlers, I got you.
Yeah,
Don't worry.
I got you. Like the easy, like we could tell you this, yo, indie wrestlers. It's just like okay, indie wrestling is like it's just like underground rap where you catch them on SoundCloud, they want the hook. You could sing, the matter of R&B track, whatever. I know you've diversified. Yo, contact people. Hey, you know what? I like your theme, blah, 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 and just give them a sample. Trust me. Like, there's ways into
Yeah, you
wrestling
never
this.
know.
The indie scene. The indies. I'm telling you, dogs.
Okay.
The indies.
Are you seeing the Jobber Slam? Make a new Jobber Slam theme song.
Hey,
listen, with an R&B track?
You got 2 weeks. I'm just saying. 2 weeks.
2 weeks?
It's 3 weeks, technically.
It's 2. It's 2.
You not go back to work next week.
Okay.
Well, listen, I'll just take the attendance. I don't need the theme. This year, I don't need the theme song. Maybe next year.
No, but for real, let's connect. Because I think maybe that's where I blend the two.
Yeah.
And so I can figure out what I want to do for myself. Because, I was ready to walk away from it this year. I was just like, it's not worth it.
Walk away, like close. That's why you want to walk away. You're close.
Yeah, but
Is
trust
that
me.
why?
Yeah. Like Jobbertears, I'm telling you, like network and everything like that. Mad wrestling.
Because to be honest, and that was the, even to this day, we have a very good, I say circle of podcasters that, we consider family, and that we all have kind of like grown in this podcast journey and stuff like that. And the one thing that they always talk about is how everybody got to connect at Jobbertears last year. Like there were podcasters that had never knew each other, and they've been doing collaborations together. They've been, going to shows together. They've been doing, content together and stuff like that. And those are the moments that I'm like, okay, this is what keeps me in it. There's always gonna be that one thing that keeps you in it, and it's like, and so you're gonna have to use your music, and you have to come out with a song in like 2 weeks, and then perform it in Brooklyn, New York. Okay.
Nah.
That's usually how it is. When you feel like really that you've given it all, that's probably when you're the closest to hit.
Yeah, like honestly,
I appreciate that feedback.
Yeah, that's
Listen, we in this together at the end of the day.
And you know what's funny? I've noticed that here in this community, especially with the Black wrestling community, y'all are some dope individuals. Like everyone that I've met, like the ones that helped me start the GoFundMe,
Black Wrestling,
the A Show,
Black Wrestling,
Black Announce Table, all 3 of them. Like I didn't know them until they reached out, and like now we're cool, and it's just like, yo, this community is fire. Like I want my kids to be a part of this community.
Well, but it's because, and you know what's funny? The Black wrestling community is legit like a typical family. They got to with each other, among each other. But best believe if somebody comes at one of them.
Trust me, I've seen some stuff.
Like it's like, it's what we're doing now. We're not doing this.
we shut all that, girl. We could do it. But
and that's cool. That's so cool. Like I really respect it, and I'm happy to be a part of it.
Absolutely, guys. Do you have any last minute questions for Mr. Perry? Because he be out here.
I just want to say thank you, man. I know you're
absolutely.
Guys, you have a lot going on. You're trying to prep for the new school year. I've been there before, so thank you for taking time out your day to do this.
Of course, this was so much fun. Seriously, thank you guys. Anytime,
for real.
And we will link. I will have you guys see the kids. Let's get through the first month of school, and then once my
listen, anything after September 10th, I'm Gucci.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
I gotta get through Jobbertears and then birthday, and then we can mentor and be cool with the kids.
Lit.
Yeah.
But let the viewers and listeners know where to find you and your music. So you can get some more. So you can get some more streams. You know, some more listens.
You can find me
2 million.
Yeah, that's the goal. Spotify, Victor Perry. Apple Music, Victor Perry. iTunes, Victor Perry. That's where you can find most of my music.
YouTube, Victor Perry.
Yeah, YouTube. I don't really put it on there, but yeah, YouTube. And then my socials, just Wallflower Perry, Twitter, Wallflower named Perry, Instagram.
Okay.
Last thing, you said you had a twin. What's your twin's name?
William.
Wow, nothing. Not even close.
Nothing. Yeah,
no.
No, they're close. WV.
Do you guys look up? No.
No.
Do we look alike? No.
Yeah, do you guys look alike?
No. Yes and no.
Y'all look like brothers.
Who came out first?
I did, but I only came out first 45 seconds.
That's okay.
Yeah. It was C-section. So it was like,
so it was grab one and grab the other one.
Facts. They said he was holding on to my leg. I'm joking.
I thought he was.
I'm about to listen. I'm gullible as fuck. I'm saying like,
I'm
what?
joking.
Wait, so is that your only sibling? Is that your only sibling that you have?
Yeah.
Oh, does William you said he likes wrestling too. Is he here in New York or is he back in Georgia?
No, he is in Texas. He is in the... He just got back from Afghanistan. Yes.
He's in the forces.
Yeah.
He's in the armed forces?
Oh, wow.
Cool.
That's why I'm like, how are you in the armed forces and you kept up with wrestling all these years? I don't know how
they do it because they got the tribute to the troops and they find ways to watch that stuff wherever they are.
He knows all the storylines. So he educated me to get back caught up. So like I know everything that happened from 2009 to now.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Damn. All right then. Well, thank you, Victor, so much. It was as much of an honor for us to have you on. I think what you're doing is changing the landscape in how kids can feel and be and express themselves, and that's really what it's about. So thank you so much. Once again, you can find him on all social media platforms. Make sure to support the wrestling club as well.
Please
and
do.
You know, and in due time, you know, he'll give us that information and we'll pass it along to everybody else. But as always, I'm Janelle from HR here with Sir Wilkins and Mr.Black. #Black Excellence. #we are out.
We got the hands in motion. If you go, we're rolling, no need to focus. Traveling states and over oceans. You gotta wait till your coast chosen. Trying to have lines outside the show like Harry Potter releases at Barnes & Noble.